Welcome back to Vault of Views, where we help financial advisors see higher, think bigger, and grow smarter. And today's guest sits at one of the most important tables in our profession, the financing table. James Hughes runs investment advisory at Live Oak Bank, one of the first lenders in the country to look at a book of business and say, yeah, we'll finance that. He's been underwriting, advisor acquisitions, successions, and breakaways since 2013. And so here's the low view on succession. Most advisors treat it as a someday problem. You spend 25 years building a book and about 25 minutes thinking about what happens to it. So when the day comes, you're tired, you got no leverage, and you end up just taking the first offer that comes along. But the vaulted view, you build your practice to be bought long before you sell it, even before you think about selling it. Because the same preparation that makes you a premium seller is what makes you a smart buyer. Growth and succession, they really aren't two conversations, they're actually the same. So James, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Dude, all right, so you're in San Diego. You traveled all the way from where to come here?
Wilmington, North Carolina, the other coast.
The other coast. So how you liking San Diego?
It's great. Beautiful weather, a lot less humidity than North Carolina.
Yeah, well, August, this time of year, we do get a little bit more humidity than we normally do, but it's typically dry heat for us here in San Diego.
Yeah, I mean, this is not humidity. I mean, you come to North Carolina and it's thick outside.
Hey, well, my eyeglasses did fog up when I got out of my car this morning. So last time they did that, I was in Houston in August, and that's pretty humid.
Yeah.
So hey, dude. All right. So you're with Live Oak Bank. I mean, man, we did our first loan with Live Oak Bank. It had been 10 years ago or so.
Wow.
Do you remember that?
Yep.
So we've known each other for some time, off and on. We just got reconnected recently. I appreciate you coming and joining the Vaulted Views podcast. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about Live Oak Bank, kind of how it's evolved over the years? Because it's a different bank today. I'm actually pleasantly surprised to see how Live Oak has actually evolved over the years.
Yeah, I mean, so just specifically in wealth management, so we started in 2013 lending, and back then we were mainly doing SBA loans.
Yeah, because ours was an SBA loan.
Yep.
So at the time, I'm like, SBA, conventional, what?
Yep.
So
yeah.
So you're doing SBA, $5 million max.
Yep. So the story of Live Oak, specifically in wealth management, I think, like, we have evolved with the industry, right? So the industry has grown tremendously since 2013. And I think the needs of the advisors has really grown as well. And, we were doing a lot of $1 million, $2 million deals. And now, that same type of advisor has got, a bigger need. And so they're coming to us asking for $10, $20 million. And so we've had to move up market, move away from the SBA product.
Right.
And we're still we lend as little as $10,000 and as much as $150 million.
That's a big range.
Yeah. So
you're serving the needs of advisors at all different sizes?
Yeah. So we have still, we serve, we got really good partners with the broker dealers and the custodians. We're serving the solo advisor, looking for, small acquisition. But then we've also got multi-billion dollar, we've got a $25 billion RIA. That's a national buyer. So we have a client that has $100 million in debt with us. But then we still
that's massive.
Are helping, sort of the solo advisor.
So you guys have a wide range of tools at your disposal to help advisors of all sizes. So we were chatting earlier. I said, James, if I ask you what your ideal customer profile is, like, what would you tell the audience for Live Oak Bank? Obviously 10,000 to 100 million is a wide range, but who do you guys really enjoy working with the most?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're best suited for somebody looking for a long-term relationship. So right now, like we're obviously looking for larger clients, like you're looking for larger clients.
All of us out there are looking for larger clients. We're going up market.
That's right.
So the bank's doing that too.
That's right. So really like that $1 to $5 billion firm that's looking to get to probably 10 billion and continue to grow through acquisition. we're putting together these really flexible acquisition facilities where we'll give them access to $10-20 million at a time, and then they can go out and find deals, and then we'll close them within 2 weeks. So very fast closings.
That's amazing.
So that's sort of, ideal client, but then again, we're still helping out the firms of all sizes.
So, so let's get into it. So I'm a financial advisor. I'm in my business every single day. I've got a great book of business. My clients might be relatively low maintenance because I know them really well. They know me really well. I'm cash flowing. Never really thought about buying. Like, what does that look like for that advisor? Who might be sitting there going, yeah, I mean, I'm golfing on Friday. Maybe I'm working half day, on Wednesdays. Life is good.
Yep.
But I see all this M&A activity that's happening out there. Maybe I should be involved in that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to consider in thinking about becoming a buyer. I think we were joking a little bit. Like I met an advisor that had a very clean business. It was 130 million in assets, 80 households, was doing roughly $1 million in revenue, nearly taking home all of it. And he's talking to me about buying businesses. And both of us at the same time were like, why would you do that? You were already
life is good.
That's right. Not working on Fridays, barely working on Wednesday. Like, why rock that boat? But for people that want to get into it, there is a tremendous amount of opportunity to be a buyer. I mean, there's so many advisors that are out there that are going to need to sell their business. So it's still a really good time to enter as a buyer. It's also not for the faint of heart, because there are some really well-run shops that are sophisticated on the buying side. I mean, if you think about the national buyers out there.
Yeah, who are they? When we hear private equity and we got the big roll-ups, who are the big guys? You don't have to name them, but the categories that, hey, most financial advisors don't understand that space or are afraid to get into that space because we're going to go up against them. They're going to push valuations higher and all that. So
yeah, I mean,
what's the landscape look like?
There's probably, I don't know, the actual number. It's probably 60 or 70 private equity backed RIAs that are out there buying. And there's probably 100, 200 firms that are out there actively looking for deals nationwide. So it's,
and these are the ones that are in the business of buying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And then you've got the casual guy making the $1 million, putting almost all of it in his pocket.
That's right.
And he's thinking, well, maybe I want to get in there, but maybe it's too crowded of a space.
Yeah, I mean, I am encouraged by the amount of our clients that still find deals outside of the investment banks. So, of the deals that we finance, probably half of them are self-sourced. And, another, say 30% are through a broker, and then 20% is like a friend made an introduction or a wholesaler or something like that.
And those are the deals that probably are more attractive multiples.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're getting a better deal.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I created the Quotient Advisor community, is I have this vision of a place where advisors can connect with other like-minded advisors, and that may be a byproduct of that happening.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, I know your business. We're doing business similarly. I have a need. I want an exit. You're a younger advisor, a lot of energy. Let's talk.
Yep.
Right? And those deals tend to come in more at fair market multiples.
Yeah, I mean, I still think people are paying a fair number. It just is, if it's a direct deal, you just probably have a better chance of buying it a little bit below market versus if it's going through a investment bank. I mean, their job is to make sure it is market and a premium to the market, ideally.
Yeah, so I mean, if I'm a seller that cares about my clients, right, and I take my firm to market, and a private equity buyer, one of these large roll-ups, are coming in, my concern would be they're gonna upset the apple cart. My people are gonna report to the people they don't know. My clients, their portfolios may change, their strategies may change, and I built this business on a philosophy and core values, and all that's changing, and that's my legacy, right? Yep. I mean, I think a lot of sellers are concerned, the genuine sellers, the ones that aren't like interested they're not every seller is interested in getting the highest check.
Right.
Right. And so, I just think like the best opportunity for financial advisors is to meet other financial advisors, and you have like-minded, and they'll have trust that you'll carry on their legacy. It may be under the same brand, it may be under a different brand, but the clients will be taken care of.
Yep.
All right. So we've been talking a lot about multiples. So why don't you give everybody, from your perspective, a banker's perspective, like what are you seeing out there in the multiple valuation space? And we're talking multiples. There's some firms trade at a revenue multiple, other firms trade at an EBITDA multiple. Like, what's the difference? And where are you seeing multiples? Where have they been, and where do you think they're going?
Yeah, I mean, if we go back to when our group started lending in the space, 2013, it probably was 2 to 2.5 times recurring revenue was the number everyone was quoting, and now that same recurring revenue multiple is probably 3.25. Sometimes we see 4 being quoted. So it's definitely been pushed up.
So it's like almost double.
Yeah.
In some cases, right? I mean, I've seen some 4x revenue multiples, and I'm like, wow. I remember these would trade for 2.5.
Yeah. But and as these firms get bigger, really, and the more sophisticated buyers are buying off of a multiple of EBITDA, right? Those how these larger firms are valued is a multiple of EBITDA. And, we've seen our clients sell for 18 times EBITDA.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Those are large firms.
Larger firms, yeah.
With a lot of
Absolutely.
scale.
Like 10 million in EBITDA, that's what they're selling for.
That's tremendous.
And I think really the market is probably north of there if they were to sell the whole business, because that was a minority sale that they did. So.
Okay, but let's just say roughly 18x on 10 million of EBITDA. And those buyers, those businesses are buying the entire, well, that was a partial equity deal.
That was, yeah.
But to get to that level of a valuation, you got to have a business with real enterprise value. Right?
Absolutely.
So what are the things that these these advisors have built that creates that enterprise value that changes it from a EBITDA from a revenue multiple, small practice, to an EBITDA multiple?
Yeah, I mean, I think really the biggest thing is getting to that size, right? I mean, if you're somebody that's doing $1 million in revenue and you're thinking, how do I get to that? One, I mean, you've got a ways before you can get to that, right? I mean, you've really got to grow your business. So I think getting to that size is the biggest sort of check. But I would say one of the first things they look for if they want to pay a premium or provide a really large valuation is going to be organic growth. Are you actually growing the business? Do you have a system in place to be able to bring in net new clients every month, every quarter? So that would certainly be a big component of it. All the other stuff that everyone sort of already knows, like client concentration. You got one client that is a big part of your revenue. That's not a positive. We were talking about earlier how it's really about the transferability of the business. I think the easier it is for a buyer to come in and take over the business and the revenue and more importantly, the profit be there, the more likely you're going to pay a bigger number.
Yeah, it's something I talk about a lot, right? And I've worked on this myself over the years, right? Is how do you remove yourself from the business? Right? When you're the CEO of your wealth management firm and you're the financial advisor who manages all the clients, right? It's basically one and the same. So if you're not going to be there when you sell, right, you're going to get a discount to your valuation, right? There's more risk. Right.
And I think it's harder as a smaller business, right? So if you have 80 million in assets, you're probably doing a lot of jobs.
You're probably doing everything, which is why that guy's taking home most of the money.
That's right. And then it's like when you get to be 2 billion in assets and you've got a whole C-suite of people that are helping support the business and the clients are clients of the firm. And when they meet with their financial advisor, they might be meeting with 3 or 4 people. There's a team of people that are servicing that account. And when you look at the equity of the business, there's multiple equity owners. There isn't one person that owns the entire business. And so those are all positive things for a buyer because they're going to be able to come in and buy the infrastructure, like buy the actual business versus...
Which includes the tech, the people, the workflows, your repeatable process, your organic growth strategy.
That's right.
All those things.
Wow,
that's amazing. So, all right. So I'll play the role of the financial advisor watching this show, right? I want to know like what makes me, a financeable buyer, right? Like what's the bank looking at? Like, give me some examples.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we're looking at are your financials, right? So if you're somebody that's thinking about borrowing money or want to become a buyer, making sure your house is in order and your financials are clean. Because we meet a lot of advisors every week, and sometimes they're confident about their business, talking about their revenue and how big of a business they have, and we do 3 million in revenue and $1.5 million in profit. I'm like, great, we can lend you X amount of dollars, and really excited about the opportunity. And then you get their financials, and it doesn't say that at all. So I think having a really clean financial is going to set you apart.
Got it. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about how much bottom line profit. I like to say EBITDA or EBOC, depending on the business. Like, do I need to show you with my financials in order?
Yep.
Right. To get a certain size loan. So let's just say I'm a financial advisor and I show my bottom line profits $1 million. Like, how much could I borrow?
Yeah. So there's a couple answers to that. So we've moved away, like I said, from the SBA. But one of the benefits of the SBA is that you can do more leverage than what you can do conventionally. So I'll just talk about the conventional side because it's where we're doing most of our business. So we generally are lending 3 times EBITDA. So if you have $1 million in EBITDA, we can lend you $3 million.
Okay.
Now, if you're buying something, we will give you credit for what you're buying, right? So if you're buying another $1 million in EBITDA, we would give you credit for that. So now your new enterprise is $2 million in EBITDA, we would lend you $6 million.
All right. That's interesting. So you'll give credit for the EBITDA based on the pro forma of the business that an advisor is acquiring.
That's right.
All right. So $1 million EBITDA advisor wants to double its size.
Yes.
Buys another $1 million of EBITDA. That's a $6 million loan. All right. But here's the problem. Let's just say the valuation multiple on that $1 million of EBITDA is 8. So it's going to cost me $8 million to buy that $1 million of EBITDA.
Yep.
You're only going to lend me 6. So I got to come out of pocket $2 million bucks.
So you come out of pocket $2 million, or we would allow what we would say another turn of EBITDA in seller financing. So you could have the seller hold a note for another $2 million to get to your $8 million purchase price.
Okay. So I don't have to come out of pocket. If I can get the seller to give me a note for $2 million bucks, there's probably some sort of earn out structure or whatever.
Right. Yep.
Right. You're going to loan me 6. The seller's going to loan me 2. I buy a business. Now I'm making $2 million. I got the debt service now on $6 million plus the $2 million loan.
That's right.
Seller finance loan.
Yep. So we do not, in what we would call an expansion. So you have an existing business that you've built, and now you want to expand and buy another business. We don't require a cash injection for that. So no need for you to inject cash.
Wow, that's like the old infomercials. No money down, cash real estate.
That's right. That's right.
So no money down.
Yep.
Wealth management acquisition strategy with Live Oak Bank.
That's right. That's right. And I mean, assuming that all the financials work out, right? So when you say $1 million in EBITDA in your business, we look at the financials and it's actually $1 million in EBITDA.
Yes, of course.
When the seller says I have $1 million in EBITDA, we look at their financials. There's actually $1 million in EBITDA. So that disclosure. But most of our transactions we don't have the advisors come in with cash.
Okay, so what happens if I wanted to buy if I wanted to upscale, right? I'm $1 million EBITDA buyer and a $2 million EBITDA shop comes my way, right? Probably not gonna make the math work on that.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the biggest thing. Well, one of the big things that have happened is, as valuations have pushed up, it's really hard for you to, even the example that we gave of, you doubling the size of your business is really tough to do with valuations and how much banks are willing to lend. So most of the deals that we see, it is a larger firm buying a smaller firm. And it's not this like smaller firm buying the larger firm, because the financing of that deal would have to be really creative. and in a very competitive M&A environment, sellers are not that interested in creative financing.
Right. Okay. So then, all right, what's the playbook then? So let's just take this $1 million EBITDA practice.
Mm-hmm.
Decides, you know what? I'm okay not golfing on Fridays.
Okay.
And my Wednesdays, you know what? I'm good with giving that up too. I'm ready to put the nose to the grind, and I want to grow inorganically with acquisitions.
Mm-hmm.
So what I think I'm hearing you say is start small, right? So is there a business model where an advisor says, okay, well, maybe I pick up a $200,000 EBITDA practice, and then I can start stacking those? Are you seeing advisors doing that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be good to talk to a bank to figure out what you can qualify for. And then you could either do crawl, walk, or run, right? I mean, I think if you wanted to, you could figure out how much you could qualify for and then go for the big fish. If you're going to do that, you're going to need to absorb that business before you can then buy another one, versus strategy you're talking about of doing smaller transactions. If you go that route, you can do multiple. It's just going to take you longer to get to a higher AUM. So it's, not one strategy is better than the other. Just depending on what you want to do, and really the businesses that you can win, right? Because again, if you're trying to buy a $200 million firm, there's a lot of people interested in that business, versus if you're trying to buy a $25 million firm, it might be a little bit easier to win that business, maybe a lower valuation. It's just, more work to get, $10, $20 million deals done versus one $200 million deal.
Understood. Yeah, I mean, I think it just goes back to, generating your own leads,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, instead of going off of a list, there's a lot of those kind of broker websites out there now for financial advisors.
Yep.
I mean, partnering with other financial advisors, getting to know them,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, but also the size of the deal. I think it would be prudent especially for a new buyer.
Yep.
Right. I've done a couple acquisitions through my career, so a bunch of stuff happens that you don't know about, right? So do your first acquisition, do a meaningful size, but not too large.
Yep.
Hopefully, if you can design it that way, it gets the bank comfortable. You get comfortable with the bank, and then you also get comfortable with integrating another practice into your own practice.
Yep.
Right, and then learn from that deal, and then maybe the next one's a little bit larger deal. Maybe it's a little more complicated.
Mm-hmm.
You get to know your attorneys really well through this process too.
Yep.
The attorneys love it, by the way. They become your best friends all of a sudden. You're paying a lot of attorney's fees, but wow, this is fascinating stuff. All right, so I mean, I could talk about this.
There's a lot to talk about
all day long. I mean, actually, one of my best performing podcasts was with Andrea Steinbrenner. She runs Exit Consulting here in town, and that's what she does. She does exit planning and helps business owners do that. She doesn't play in the wealth management space. I'm trying to talk to her about doing that, by the way, but it was a very popular episode, so who knows? Maybe you'll go viral, James. So, all right, so I'd like to talk a little bit about like internal succession, right?
Sure.
So, like I mentioned, most financial advisors I talk to are interested in maintaining their legacy. That's a huge value for them. They spent 20, 30 years building their business. They want to make sure that legacy continues on, right? So how do you help that advisor do an internal succession, maybe to a junior advisor, or maybe they're a little bit larger and they have a small team around them?
Yep.
How does the bank think about that, and what are the tools that are available to advisors who are thinking about internal successions?
Yeah, so we really like those deals for a lot of reasons. I mean, no risk of attrition really in those types of transactions versus an acquisition, and so we do a lot of them. We've always done them. So we will finance for an employee to buy in for the first time, for a smaller shareholder to buy additional shares, a partner buyout. We do it all the time. I think where we've heard just from people that there's a little hesitation around, why would I sell internally at a reduced valuation when I can sell externally at an increased valuation?
Yeah,
Because
I think it's a fair question.
totally.
Right? I mean, there may be a $1 million or $2 million difference, right, in time,
Yep.
right? But also, I get the benefit of knowing that I'm taking care of my people. My people are going to take care of my clients, right?
Yep.
So that's the trade-off. But from a financing perspective, what does that look like to a seller?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that, so we're actually working on a white paper right now for a deal that we've done, or a firm we've worked with over the last 4 years, where they've transitioned about half of the equity from the founders. And there's really, the way I think about this is, a founder starts their business, they work very hard to grow the business, and at some point their effort in the business is going to dwindle, right? So they're working really, really hard, building the value of the business, and then they're in their late 50s, late 60s, whatever it is. At some point, they're going to start taking those Fridays off, right? And so the value of the business is going to start to fall off. And also the average age of the clients is going to grow with the financial advisor, and they're going to start more distributions and less accumulation. And so again, the value sort of drops off. When you start to bring in other equity owners, younger people, into your ownership, they're earlier at their stage of their career. And so you start to bring in people that are now hustling and trying to grow the business. And so just naturally what we've seen is that the revenue increases and the profit increases as you bring in more owners. And so this particular firm, they were able to monetize half of their equity, get paid out, and now the remaining equity that's left is worth the same amount as the original equity. So they basically have doubled the value of the firm.
Because the business grew.
That's right.
So they got cashed out for half.
That's right.
The younger advisors come in, they're growing the business. And by the time he sells the other half, right, it's worth what it was originally.
That's right.
So we got like 150, it projects out at like 150%.
Yeah. And
roughly.
I mean, that's kind of the story we're telling about, right now, everyone's just like, I'm going to sell externally, or not everyone, but there's hesitation around it because the valuation is so much greater externally. And I think in this sort of use case, if you give it time, I mean, that is the component that you need, is time, that you could grow the value of the firm even if you sell it internally at quote unquote lower valuation.
Huh. That's interesting. Okay, so are there any major mistakes or pitfalls that you see that are out there for financial advisors who are in the process of either getting ready to be an acquirer or even thinking about selling, like that you can point out?
Yeah, I mean, I think, so much of it, the analysis that we do is around the financials. So that's like the obvious one, is just like, having your house in order. The internal succession one, I think, is maybe a lot of false starts, where, the junior advisor or next generation advisor has been at the firm for 5 years or 8 years. And when they came on, the founder said, oh, I'll give you some equity, in 3 to 5 years. And then 5 years, but later they say, oh, give me another 3 to 5 years. And we've seen those advisors leave, go open up their own shop and start to take clients from that firm.
Right.
Or not even take clients, but just go and leave. And now the founder's left with, well, I guess I'm going to have to sell externally because I've got no one to sell it to.
You got to start over. Yeah.
The other thing we've seen is where the founder sells to two people a relatively small stake, maybe 5% each, and then doesn't treat the new shareholders as partners, right? So the founder's still operating this business as though it's my business and I'll make all the decisions. And the two new shareholders are not too happy about that, and they don't agree with the decisions being made. And now they're going to leave the business, and now they're in a lawsuit about trying to sell the shares back, and it can get nasty. So I think it's just really being intentional about making a decision, making sure you're ready for it. And then if you're going to sell to somebody else, these are people that are going to be your partners. And so you better be ready for that.
Oh, that's insightful. All right. We were in a really low interest rate environment for a while.
Yep.
Now interest rates are a lot higher. So there's this perception that's out there that, the average advisor just can't really make it cash flow, right? An acquisition, right? Private equity buyers are coming in. They're buying businesses with equity capital, not debt capital, right? So they don't have the debt service cost issues and all that other stuff. So they can drive multiples higher, right? So what do you say to someone who believes like, what, I can't go out and even think about buying because the math just doesn't math?
Yeah, I mean, we're in an environment where we're going to have a record year of deals this year. We had a record year of deals last year and the year before. And so deals are getting done. And at Live Oak, the last 3 years have been record years. We've never done more business than we did in 2025, same in 24. And in 26, we're hoping to be able to say the same thing. So it's been incredibly busy. And if you talk to any investment banks, they're incredibly busy. I mean, there's just a lot of deal flow out there. I think as long as you're buying the right business for you, right? So we said like larger firms are buying smaller firms, that sort of thing. You can successfully buy businesses, and even if the valuation is high compared to what you're used to, right? If you haven't bought a business in 10 years and you see the valuations on these things, you're like, it's crazy.
Right.
But they're getting done and they're still very accretive to your business. We were talking about this earlier. The best buyers are tremendous at organic growth and wallet share and all of these things. So they're buying a $100 million firm and turning it into a $125, $130 million firm very quickly because they're just really good at organic growth.
Yeah.
So even at these valuations, you can be successful as a buyer.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I just think the business is, I love this business. It's a cash flowing business. And when you start layering on debt, and then you have rising interest rates, right, or higher interest rates now, right? The fear is like, I don't want to do a deal and then look at my P&L and go, well, shoot, after I pay the bank everything, I've got scrapes, if anything, left over, right? It's a risk, right? Now I'm focusing on integrating and doing all these other things. But deals are getting done that are financed, right? My perception for a while was, the major deals are either someone who's well capitalized, they've got cash, right? They can put a lot of money down, or it's private equity coming in and they're doing all cash deals and they're driving multiples higher and they're pricing the little guys out of the market. And what you're saying is no, the little guys, they're playing ball too. They're getting more deals done. It can be, you can build a financial model with debt, with no money down, potentially. Right. Well, I always got to throw potentially in there.
Thank you for that.
Right. I'm trying to protect you here. Right. But potentially, you've seen deals that happen, no money down, 100% financed, right, and it cash flows.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I think people say private equity and I say to my team, like, I feel like most people say that, they don't really know what it means. So we actually have 10 private equity backed firms in our portfolio. And so they're using us alongside their capital. And to your point, so they have the same rules. So we will lend them generally no more than 3 times EBITDA, sometimes a little bit more, but generally same rules, right? Sure. So they can't borrow more than what we can lend to anybody. But then they layer on their equity capital to be able to continue to do deals and progress. And so what we've seen actually, firms that have been with us for years and they've been buying businesses and they start buying larger businesses at higher valuations, they start to creep up to our sort of cap on where we would lend. And now they're being introduced to private equity to be able to get more capital, to be able to keep growing.
Interesting. So before we go, you mentioned that you also do some other creative lending, like wirehouse breakaways, for example. Yeah. Right? How are you helping wirehouse breakaways leave their firm and go independent?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, like, we are lending in the wealth management business across the board. And if your business needs capital for X, we do it, right? So recruiting, minority equity purchases, minority revenue purchases, obviously internal succession and acquisition we talked about today. We've got broker-dealers as clients. We've got OSJs as clients, asset managers. So we're kind of all over the place in wealth management.
Wow.
And the breakaway financing we've done from the beginning. So if you're at UBS or Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and looking to go independent, and you've got a forgivable note that, $3 million that you owe back to them, we will pay that off for you so that you can become independent.
That's amazing, even though they haven't moved the clients yet.
Yeah, and what we have seen is, just like with the acquisitions, really high success rates there. So they're moving, 90% plus of their assets from the wires to independence.
Amazing. So you're basically in business to help everyone in the wealth management space. If there's a lending need and it makes sense, Live Oak is in the business of doing that.
That's right.
You guys have come a long way, man. I mean, when I first met you guys, over 10 years ago, it was very clean, cookie cutter, SBA lender, right? But what I liked about Live Oak is you guys understood that we're a cash flow business. Like my local banks at the time, they're like, we don't even understand your industry, but you guys are experts in this industry. How, you guys have done probably hundreds, thousands of deals.
We just crossed $2 billion in lending, wealth management.
$2 billion in lending.
Yep.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, hey, congratulations on that,
Thank you.
James. Thanks for joining Vaulted Views, and we'll catch you on the other side.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. And so, financial advisors, let me leave you with this. The low view is to just wait and tell yourself that succession is a someday problem and your valuation is whatever someone offers when you're finally just done with it. You end up reacting to your exit instead of just engineering it, and you end up leaving a fortune and your client's continuity on the table. The vaulted view is what James just walked us through. You end up building a practice that's financeable, it's transferable, and premium worthy long before you need it to be. Because the number isn't luck, it's a system that you put in place years earlier. And this is why I believe that community is really the future of advice. The advisor figuring out valuations and succession alone, you just end up moving slower and you could make expensive mistakes. But the one that's plugged into operators who've already done it, you end up moving further and faster. And so thanks to James Hughes and Live Oak Bank. To connect with James and dig into anything that we covered, I want you to head over to my website, rayluciajr.com. And if you're an advisor who wants to grow with intention and serve your clients at the highest level, come join us inside the Quotient Advisor community and share this episode with an advisor who needs it. So stay elevated, stay strategic, and stay vaulted. I'll see you on the next episode.